a little while, but numbers that nobody thought, at least this quickly. We've been here less than 2 years, and nobody can believe the numbers they're seeing. A lot of it's the spirit of the country. You look at all of the polling coming out. People are more optimistic about our country and about business than they have been in many, many years, in some cases since the beginning of these polls. I also want to take a moment to send our thoughts to the incredible people of North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and everyone else affected by Hurricane Florence. The federal government has dispatched nearly 20,000 federal and military personnel to assist in the response and recovery effort. These are incredible people. They're really putting their lives at stake, and they're putting their lives on the line every single day. They're out there for many, many hours out of a 24-hour day. They're working hard. Every relevant federal resource is marshaled to help those in need. Many lives have been saved already. You've been covering it actually very fairly, but the job they're doing is incredible. I just want to finish that by saying our administration is in constant contact with local and state authorities, and we will not rest until that job is done and done perfectly. I just want to thank all of the first responders, the FEMA folks, and everybody else involved, including law enforcement. They have been incredible. And it's a very, very dangerous situation. You have collapses, you have slides, you have things that are happening that are very scary. That's why all of a sudden they're getting calls from people that we wish they didn't stay, but they stayed, and they're going into their saving their lives. A lot of lives have been saved. So I want to thank them very, very much. We appreciate it. We're here today to talk about workforce development, and I'd like to begin by thanking Ivanka and all of the folks around this table who have worked tirelessly in the devotion of ensuring that no American worker is going to be left behind. Our country is doing better possibly than we could say in an economic front than it's ever done before. We don't want to leave workers behind, and that won't happen. Most are going with it and doing really well, but nobody's going to be left behind. I also want to thank Secretary Wilbur Ross, Secretary Alex Acosta, Director Mick Mulvaney, and Administrator Linda McMahon. They have been working along with Ivanka and a whole group of people, a large group of people, on workforce development. And it's really making a big, big difference because we have companies moving into our country like probably never before. In many cases, they're moving back. They left years ago and they're coming back because they all want a part of the action. Our country is hot and it's successful and people want to be here. We've created more than 4 million jobs since the election, with more than 200,000 jobs created just last month alone. More Americans are employed than ever before in our country. In the history of our country, today, as of today, we have more people working than they have ever had working before. Middle-class income reached its all-time high. That just came out, that number. And it reached it by a lot. Jobless claims are at their lowest level in nearly 50 years. Almost 3.9 million Americans have been lifted off food stamps since the election. That's a big, beautiful number. There are a record number of job openings, and the number of workers quitting their current jobs has hit an all-time high. Now, that doesn't sound good, but actually it is good. They're leaving jobs because they're getting better jobs and they're getting more money. So that's a statistic, Linda, that I wouldn't say sounds great, but it is great.
It is very
They're
good.
all looking for better jobs. They're going up and they're getting more money. Before my election, less than half of the manufacturers were optimistic about the future. Today, so think of that, less than half, meaning they weren't very optimistic. Today's number is exactly 95%, and I expect that's going to go higher too. That's a big, big number because people go out and they invest because they're optimistic about our country. And that means jobs, and it means a lot of other things. Thanks to the work of everybody around this room, employers across the country have taken our pledge to American workers, and they've committed to training more than 4.2 million American workers for American jobs. We have so many companies that are just incredible what they're doing. The money they're spending and the training programs are incredible. Frankly, you wouldn't be able to do it through government. The quality of training, you wouldn't be able to do it as a government program. These companies are really the list of been. It's jobs, a very important word. Young, I